Buddhism does not begin with the construction of an almighty creator God, but with a direct question about the nature of life. Why do human beings suffer, and what path can lead to liberation? The Buddha did not deny the belief in deities of his time, but he saw that searching for an absolute origin or begging for divine favors does not touch the root of the problem. Suffering does not vanish through prayer alone. It needs to be examined, understood, and then transformed. In the teachings, the focus is not on a transcendent power ruling the universe, but on the awakening of each individual. It is the deep insight into impermanence, non-self, and interdependence that opens the way out of the cycle of suffering. This makes Buddhism a self-reliant journey, not dependent on external grace, but awakening wisdom and compassion within each person. The question of God is replaced by the question of suffering. Where does it arise, and how can it cease? This shift from outward belief to inner contemplation is what gives Buddhism its unique strength. It neither affirms nor denies the existence of deities, but places the focus on human beings, on direct experience, and on the capacity to see the truth. In this light, suffering is no longer a sign of punishment, but a great teacher pointing the way to freedom. Buddhism does not begin with metaphysical hypotheses, but with living experience, with the unease and longing for happiness that exist in every human heart. And from this very ground, the noble eightfold path unfolds as a practical roadmap, guiding us step by step out of suffering through the power of mindfulness and compassion. The Buddha's attitude toward questions about God or the origin of the universe was silence. He did not encourage engaging in metaphysical debates, for they do not bring human beings any closer to the cessation of suffering. When a man is struck by a poisoned arrow, the urgent task is to remove the arrow, not to speculate about who shot it, what the arrow is made of, or from which direction it came. In the same way, the Buddha saw that investigating the ultimate nature of the cosmos, or the existence of a creator, does not help in the journey toward liberation. Instead of spending time on matters beyond direct human experience, he guided his disciples to look inward, to see clearly the reality of suffering, its causes, and the path to its end. His silence was not avoidance, but a wise stance that directs the practitioner to focus on what is truly essential, the liberation from suffering here and now. The Buddha invited us to let go of the craving to know what is unreachable, and to return to the living experience of the present moment. Here one can realize impermanence, perceive non-self, and cultivate compassion. This is a practical path, beyond all theological or metaphysical disputes. His answer was silence, yet within that silence resounds a profound message. Rather than asking about an absolute beyond reach, turn back to live mindfully and freely in each breath. Buddhism is often regarded as non-theistic, for its teachings do not center on an almighty creator. In the scriptures, the Buddha did speak of celestial beings, Yet they are not portrayed as supreme gods who determine human destiny. They are simply sentient beings dwelling in other realms, also subject to impermanence, to birth and death, to joy and suffering. In Buddhism, these deities are understood more as symbols than literal objects of worship. They represent noble spiritual qualities or mirror psychological states that practitioners may encounter along the path. When we read about celestial beings, we should not see them as omnipotent entities, but as reminders of the transcendent potential and innate purity of the mind. Therefore, Buddhism neither denies the existence of divine beings, nor places them at the heart of liberation. The Buddha pointed out that even celestial beings remain bound to the cycle of rebirth, and thus cannot be ultimate refuges. The path to freedom lies not in begging for grace from some higher power, but in cultivating awareness, wisdom, and compassion within ourselves. This is what defines the non-theistic nature of Buddhism. It does not dismiss the possibility of higher realms, but it affirms that liberation can only be realized through the direct awakening of the mind. In Buddhism, the focus rests entirely on personal responsibility. The Buddha taught that the path to enlightenment is not held in the hands of a savior, but lies within the self-reliant effort of each individual. He once said, "I am only a guide. Whether you walk the path or not depends on you." These words reveal a profound spirit of freedom and accountability. No one can carry our suffering or walk the path of liberation on our behalf, for it is our own mind that must see, understand, and let go. The Buddha never promised to grant blessings or salvation. Instead, he offered us a map, while the journey itself is ours alone. This does not make Buddhism harsh, but rather instills deep confidence in the innate potential for awakening within every heart. Rather than placing hope in an external power, we learn to turn inward, to face our own greed, anger, and ignorance, and to gradually transform them. This is true liberation, for it is built upon wisdom and diligent practice. Personal responsibility in Buddhism does not mean isolation, for along the path we are supported by the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Yet this support serves only as inspiration and guidance, while liberation itself must be realized through direct experience. This spirit makes Buddhism a path of freedom, where each person holds the capacity to open the gate of enlightenment with their own hands and heart. In Buddhist teaching, karma and rebirth are regarded as natural laws, without the need for judgment or decree from a creator God. Karma is not a system of rewards and punishments handed down by someone, but the inevitable result of one's own actions, speech, and thoughts. Just as a seed planted in the soil bears fruit depending on its kind and how it is nurtured, life unfolds according to this same principle. This helps us see that every experience, whether joy or suffering, is an opportunity for learning and growth. Rebirth is not the return of a fixed soul, but the continuation of the stream of consciousness, like one candle flame lighting another. Each life is the result of conditions, of the energies we have set in motion. In this view, there is no place for eternal punishment or arbitrary grace, only the impartial working of cause and effect. It also means that no one can bear our karma for us, nor can any deity erase what we have created. Yet at the same time, we hold the power to transform our karma through mindfulness, wisdom, and compassion. To understand karma and rebirth is to be free from the fear of a heavenly verdict and to discover freedom in each small action. For every thought, word, and deed is a seed, and when we choose to plant seeds of awareness and love, wholesome fruits will ripen in the future. This is the firm conviction of Buddhism. Absolute justice lies within the law of cause and effect itself, without the need for any external judge. In the core teaching of Buddhism, non-self is the key that opens the gate of liberation. The Buddha taught that there is no permanent soul dwelling within a person. What we call I is in fact only the temporary gathering of body, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. These 5 aggregates are not fixed, but constantly changing in every moment, like a river that never stands still. To imagine a lasting self is an illusion that leads us to cling, and from clinging arise fear, greed, and conflict. When we identify with the body, we fear sickness and death. When we identify with thoughts and memories, we suffer over what is lost or worry about what is not yet come. Every attachment to the illusion of self becomes the root of suffering. To realize non-self is not to lose oneself, but to see the true nature of existence. Everything is a process arising in dependence. When we understand that there is no fixed self to defend, we learn to let go, to open our hearts, and to live more freely. Non-self also lays the ground for compassion, for when the walls between me and others dissolve, we see the deep interconnection, that the suffering of another is also our own. From this insight, love flows without boundary, and freedom becomes an experience found in each breath. In Buddhism, truth is not something to be blindly believed, but something to be directly experienced. The Buddha often reminded his disciples, "Do not believe simply because of tradition. Do not believe simply because of scriptures. Do not believe even because of my words, but observe, practice, and realize for yourself." This spirit lays the foundation for an experiential path, where each individual discovers truth through meditation and mindfulness. Meditation is not an escape from life, but a return to listening deeply to each breath, each movement of body and mind. Mindfulness is not an abstract idea, but awareness in every action, from walking and eating to facing difficult emotions. Through this practice, we realize that all phenomena are impermanent. All feelings arise and pass away, and there is no need to cling or to run away. Truth, is not granted by someone else, but revealed in ordinary experience when the mind becomes clear and still. There, wisdom arises, not from books or discourses, but from direct contact with reality. This is why Buddhism does not focus on dogma, but on practice. The Buddha is only a guide, while each mindful step, each contemplative breath is the practitioner's own journey of discovery. When the mind opens to life as it is, without adornment or judgment, truth reveals itself, and liberation becomes a living experience rather than a distant concept. In the Kalama Sutta, the Buddha left a teaching of remarkable openness. Do not believe simply because it is tradition. Do not believe because of hearsay. Do not believe because of the authority of scriptures, nor because a revered teacher has spoken. He urged the Kalamas to observe for themselves, to reflect, and to accept only what, when practiced, brings peace to oneself and benefit to others. This spirit makes Buddhism a path that transcends dogma, encouraging free inquiry and direct experience. The Kalama Sutta is also an invitation to step beyond dependence on external authority and to return to the clarity of one's own awareness. Truth does not lie in mere assertions, but reveals itself in living experience when we meet reality with a mindful heart. This is the foundation of meditation and mindfulness practice, where practitioners do not merely memorize teachings, but test them and see their results for themselves. When such practice leads to calm, openness, and freedom, we know we are walking the right path. Thus, the Kalama Sutta is not only an ancient text, but a declaration of spiritual freedom, affirming that the path to awakening is not built on blind belief, but on direct seeing and knowing in each moment of life. Buddhism concludes in a way that is both balanced and practical. It does not entirely deny the possibility of a God or transcendent powers, yet it does not ground liberation in faith in them. The Buddha pointed out that even if celestial realms or divine beings exist, they too are subject to impermanence and the cycle of rebirth, and thus cannot be the ultimate refuge. The path to freedom does not come from awaiting grace, but from turning inward, recognizing suffering, understanding its causes, and practicing step by step to transform it. Buddhism emphasizes that wisdom and direct experience are the true foundation of liberation. This is the wisdom that arises when we realize non-self, when we live mindfully, when we learn to let go and to nurture compassion. It is also the experience that no one else can undertake for us, but which we must encounter and realize ourselves. For this reason, Buddhism does not stand in opposition to religious faith, but invites us to step beyond dependence and to touch truth directly. Its message is universal. Liberation is not found in a supreme being, but in the innate capacity for awareness and love within every human heart. This is the spiritual legacy the Buddha entrusted to us, and it remains an eternal invitation to humanity, return to yourself, and discover freedom in each breath of life.